This is an official communique from the Ministry of Silly Talk. Stand by for further information. This is an official communique from the Ministry of Silly Talk. Stand by for further information.
Citizens of Caviar City, the situation on the surface is grave. The wars rage on with little hope of subsiding, meaning we will increasingly need to rely on our own ability to feed, care for, and most importantly, govern ourselves. As a result of these stark realities, the following sectors will be on limited power and food rations until these demonstrations against the 1 Gram Army end and your able-bodied Class 3 inhabitants return to work at the Shirt Caviar facility.
Sector
G.
Sector
I.
Sector
F.
I implore you, end these destructive demonstrations, or I assure you, these measures will continue up to and including the deactivation of the protective magnetic fields over your sectors. On behalf of the 1 Gram Army and the Ministry of Silly Talk, this is General Booze McKenzie, wishing you a peaceful and productive day.
That's one of the best podcasts ever. Ever. Top 5 dead or alive.
Welcome to Pod Caviar. I'm your host, Tony, with Graham in the building as usual.
Hello.
I really love that intro. I think I'm going to keep that intro. I'm still tinkering with things because it's still off season. Third season is looking good.
Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Yeah,
You
I keep
decided?
talking about it. I've decided
Are we
we're gonna do
the Ad Max thing?
the Ad Max thing, and then I'm gonna do an episode on the Malaysian Airlines, the MH370, which crashed a long time ago, and then I have a pretty good theory about what happened, and it's gonna be awesome.
I'm excited to explore it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now, I don't think I haven't seen anybody else really say this theory down to the detail that I have, but it's going to be pretty awesome.
I'm excited about it, and I'm excited about the AdMax thing. I think probably what I'm going to do is I had been considering trying to do something with the 1 Gram Army podcast on Thursdays. I was going to start playing the episode from that week from last year or 2 years ago because I have enough episodes now.
Oh, shit, yeah.
And then what I think I'm going to do is when I'm doing a season of Pod Caviar, every now and then I'll be like, put an episode on Thursday of my podcast, which is just the episode of Pod Caviar.
Man, yeah. Actually, yeah. Let's do that. Let's collab on that.
Exactly.
Because there's been times where I have like extra space at the end of a month, and I'm like, oh, I don't really know what to do with this, so I can cut up a 1 Gram Army episode. Or do
absolutely. Well, you're always welcome to do anything you want with any of these episodes of my podcast. You have free reign to do whatever you want. But that, and then... But yeah, I think it would be a good idea if on our podcast we have like a day where it's like a crossover thing where it's like, oh, this is an episode of this from then or this, and clip shows, whatever. Yeah, it'd be a good idea.
We should do that.
And so definitely during the AdMax season, though, there's going to be a few episodes where I'm going to want to.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We're going to go through all that and then some other things. Look, it's going to be awesome. All right. If you've been a long time listener to Pod Caviar, then you always know that when we got shit to talk about, we go through shit. Just listen to the last season. I mean, we really came out and we knocked a lot of those episodes out of the park. Most of them we knocked out of orbit.
Exactly.
And it's just, we would just firing on all cylinders.
Those were exciting weeks for me because I always go back and listen to the episodes we do, obviously, for quality control, just out of curiosity, or sometimes I'll feel one way about it, and then after I hear it, I'll be like, oh, that was great. You know? Those are some of my favorite podcast anything.
Man, that whole list and all the stuff that we did was awesome, and it's just going to continue. Off-season content. I really haven't seen anything. I know we talked about the Chinese planting a seed and growing a plant on the moon that died.
Yeah, we did discuss that
tragically
over on my podcast, and it was.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, I said this on Twitter about time travel earlier this week. When I said that I wanted to do an episode about my thoughts on time travel and why it's not going to be. How to me, I don't think it's going to be the same as people want it to be. I had an idea, and I was really thinking about this for a while. As far as time travel goes, I think that in the future, we know what part of the brain holds memories, but I think in the future we'll be able to extract those memories as a video, and then you'll be able to go back and relive those memories, but
like
you won't
a
be
virtual
able,
environment.
Yeah.
But you won't be able to necessarily manipulate many of the outcomes or anything.
No, you won't be able to manipulate any of it because I feel like you'll be in some sort of either VR thing or you'll actually be there in some sort of bubble. What was that? The Rick and Morty episode where the aliens went through time and they beat up Einstein because they thought it was Rick.
Yeah.
And they tried to put him in time jail. But something like that. Where you'll be in a bubble, you won't be able to see or interact with it, but you'll be able to relive it in vividly.
Right.
I think that's gonna be it, because honestly, that is a form of time travel. We're not gonna go back and stop 9/11 or anything. Those events have happened. To me, time is linear.
Right. Well,
the only way we can go back is through memories.
If you consider it in the Total Recall combined with the holodeck kind of situation.
Yeah.
See,
I
that's
thought
what
about
you're
that
saying.
too.
That is sort of what I feel like you're getting at. Is that you would basically go back and relive memories.
Right.
But I feel like if you extrapolate that out to a virtual reality environment, where it's like remembering your memories and it's projecting them to you in some sort of moderately interactive environment.
Yeah.
There may be a great number of parameters you could adjust.
I mean, you could.
You could literally be just blind spots in your memory, and as you remember things or how you remember them, they start happening.
Now that could have a medical way use too, especially with patients that have dementia. And when you lose your memory as naturally as it happens as you get older, but now if you do things like that. You'll be able to keep your memory longer, and then you won't have to worry about remember. The thing is, there's a lot of memories where I would wish to go back and really experience it the way it was, not really change anything, but just live through it again, because maybe it was the first time that you did this or made an achievement or saw your child being born, or you met somebody that I mean, it's those things that you remember the vivid details of it, because even if you think of something that you really enjoyed in the past, you can really pick up on everything that happened in that particular moment, as far as even the temperature, the way the sun hit something, the way maybe you smelled something, but it's not a reality. It'll be more realistic in the future.
Yeah, but it has also though been it's been pretty well proven that humans have terrible memory. You know what I mean? That we can act like. And it's not like, oh, you're a dick, you don't remember things correctly. We all innately remember details of situations incorrectly, and sometimes not even details, like the people who were involved, because the way your brain works, the way you omit faces throughout the day.
That's true.
You don't remember what every person you saw at the grocery store looks like.
No.
You know what I mean? You have to see them repeatedly for your brain to even bother retaining the information. So those just become like faceless beings, right?
Yeah.
But so when you're remembering something, your brain applies something to all those blank spots, and they start to adjust and change.
Yeah.
Because initially when you said I'd like to go back and re-experience something I'd already experienced because it was a wonderful experience, well, that See, to me, if I was time traveling, I wouldn't want to go back and re-experience something I thought was awesome because the memory is so great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if it was just your memory being extracted and then you go back and get to re-experience it, then you would experience it with all the, all the fanfare that your mind attached to it.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. Because I've been under the influence of things before and been somewhere and been like, man, that night was awesome. Yeah. I was at that tiny bar in the middle of nowhere and I was basically Prince.
Yeah.
You know? It's not.
See?
And that's just your memory. But that's not really time travel.
But it would be some sort of a difference between the way that your brain remembers it, and if you were absolutely drunk and shit-faced, then you would see it more of a, I guess, a third-person view,
right?
You know, outside of it.
I think you would see it though how your brain constructed.
But how you constructed it, yeah.
Because
but that would be more of a VR thing.
Even if you've had nights that you don't remember at all, you know what I mean? If you went back to extract the memories and you allowed your brain to construct it, you thought about it so much that you filled in all these gaps anyway.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? And then with the aid of computing, you'd fill them in further. Now with the aid of computing, there's a world outside of the room you were in.
Yeah.
And you go there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You go out the door of the house you were in when you were 9 and you got the Ghostbusters firehouse. And you could just walk outside and be like, what? And you would go to your neighbor's house. And it wouldn't exactly be your neighbor's house, but it'd be a pretty good representation of what your mind filled in.
Yeah, I think they would limit it to something. You know, it's one of those. It's one of those, like in video games, where you have a certain, even in a flashback.
I definitely don't think that
only
qualifies
go so
as time
far.
Travel,
it could to me it could be considered time travel because you're actually going back and reliving.
But you have to.
But you wouldn't be able to change anything.
Yeah, but so you'd have to understand the abstract nature of that anyway going into it. Like this isn't even what happened. This is just what you remember. You know, because sometimes it can be major events.
Yeah.
And like, oh, you remember this, and that's not what happened.
Yeah.
It happened to me not too long ago. It was like a simulation glitch. I was remembering the Cubs being in the World Series, and I was like reminiscing on how wonderful that was. And like, I'm telling you, I was in Chicago for the first 5 games, and I swear we lost the first 2 games of the World Series. And even after the World Series, people kept being like, oh, they won game 2. I do not remember that happening that way.
Really?
And that wasn't that long ago. That was in 2016. A few months later, I was talking about it with somebody who was like, no, they won that game. And I was like, what are you talking about? And it was like, well, there's either a glitch in the simulation or I literally remembered events I was incredibly focused in on incorrectly just that long ago.
The brain is crazy. I've had a similar situation to that recently, but it was like I zoned out and for some reason my brain tried to cram in memories because it couldn't account for when I zoned out.
Exactly.
So when I finally looked around and I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, that's weird because I had false memories of things
and that's like
that
dreaming
I didn't
while
do.
You're awake.
Yeah.
Could you imagine the danger too, though, of going back to visit things that are in your memory and it's like a dream that you have for your whole life, just in the back of your mind, misconstrued as a memory?
Yeah.
That's nuts.
But in time for me. But even if you go back in time, it's still reliving shit that happened. So the memory thing isn't that far off. I get what you're saying, though.
But see, to me, though, the only feasible method of time travel is into the future, and it's a one-way trip.
Well, yeah.
Because what you're talking about
that was the other half of it. Yeah. Because we're talking about memories, things that have already happened. When you go forward, you're just forward.
Well, and the only way to really do it is to go into space. Travel at the speed of light out a certain distance, turn around and come back. Boom, you did just kind of not even kind of.
No, you did.
From your perspective as a person from Earth, which is like the one planet that can sustain your existence.
Right.
Coming back 10,000 years from now would be dicey.
Yeah.
Literally the plot of Planet of the Apes. A lot of people don't remember that. Like the whole plot of the original Planet of the Apes movie was that these dudes were the first guys to travel at light speed out into the intergalactic space and then come back. And when they came back, they thought they crash landed on a weird planet, but it was Earth because so much time had elapsed.
Yeah.
That apes had evolved into humans. I mean, and then they went through and kind of like threw together a story about how the evolution of the apes happened, which is cool.
Yeah.
But like the whole point of the original Planet of the Apes was that like these apes had created a society because we were at like this huge evolutionary arc because the people on that spaceship had been gone so long.
I wonder, would it be every time you go light speed, or you're time traveling?
Yeah.
How did they get away with that in Star Trek, though?
I'll tell you how they got away with it in Star Trek.
Yeah.
Okay? Because
I don't remember how...
That bothered me for a long time. When I first learned about relativity and shit, I was like, well, basically all of these movies... You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
What, like...
Inception was the only one that actually really addressed it when they went near the black hole, and that really
not
made
Inception,
time... not
Interstellar.
Interstellar, not Inception. Yeah, but Interstellar.
Yeah, where all that time pad. That's time travel too. Time dilation you could legitimately use as time travel.
Yeah.
If you're in the International Space Station looking at a clock on the surface of the Earth somehow and looking at a clock in the International Space Station, the one on Earth is ticking slower, and it's not like a trick of the eye or light.
No,
like,
it is slower,
you can track for all those variables because this is like a theoretical thing, but it actually is ticking slower because it's closer to a source of gravity. That's a very real thing about how we perceive time and shit. So there's another instance.
For anybody who hasn't seen Interstellar, basically they went closer to a black hole. Black hole is gravitation beyond
it's just
measure.
Gravity,
it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So that really dilated time, and then the time went back. They were on the planet for what, 30 minutes, but then
it took 28 years.
Yeah, 28 years.
Like
it was years in Earth time. So that's what we're talking about.
because there was a guy in the mothership basically was out far enough to where he wasn't affected by the gravity.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is insane too. Which means because he saw that from his perspective.
Yeah.
At that speed.
Yeah.
Like he basically watched them go, and then eventually got to a spot where they stopped moving.
Yeah.
And over the course of 28 years, they moved away incrementally.
Yeah.
And then over the course of another 15 years, he saw them come back.
And that's how it is. There was a video on YouTube, and I've talked about this before, that describes what it's like to go. Actually, if you theoretically survived going into a black hole, what would you see from the inside out, and what would people see from the outside in? And that pretty much fell in line with it. Time really... Because you're not on the same time field or
essentially,
line
if you watch
or whatever,
something go into see, and this is just a planet that's like slightly closer to the black hole.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah, and so if you actually watch something go to black hole, you'd never see it actually go into
right, because it get to a certain point where it would just stop.
It would just stop,
and that was it.
You would die. Your children's children would die. Your planet would cease to exist before you were able to perceive it moving into the sun, or into that black hole.
Into that hole,
absolutely. I hope that is the end of what we were talking about, because I don't remember how we got here.
No, we were talking about time travel. Oh no, you were saying how in Star Trek, how did they?
Yeah, that's right. Okay, all right. So, because that you bothered me for a long time was this idea that like, okay, well, every time the Enterprise jumps to light speed, but it's the deal. This is warp speed, which is which is theoretically actually a possibility. Obviously, you have to generate all this energy.
Okay.
But like what it does is it essentially, well, it's like Event Horizon. You've seen that ripped off 1,000 times.
Of course.
Like, oh, they fold space. But so what warp speed does is it basically warps space and pulls it past you.
Oh, so they're sitting still, but space is moving.
Essentially, is the idea of that.
I've seen that before. Somebody explained that.
Yeah, hold on. Let me do a better job.
Oh, okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So, but they had the damn. I guess that's why they can't use comms and shit when they're doing warp speed.
Well, they can.
But see, but in Star Trek Into Darkness, the Enterprise was chased down by another. What is it? Damn, what was that bigger ship?
Essentially, warp speed is, like as I
The
understand
Vengeance,
it,
that's what it was.
I found very little information about this. I don't want to look it up because I remember it. So essentially, the way that like actual scientists explain warp speed, so that everybody will keep watching Star Trek, is that like it creates a bubble of space and time around the ship.
Right.
So now ships that are moving in warp space are basically moving in it's almost like another dimension that they're moving within. Okay. You know what I mean? Because they're like outputting all this tremendous amounts of energy. It's not actually like moving at light speed. You're basically like shortcutting space. It's like it's all the way I've seen it described, the way I've seen it personified in video games and shit is it's like a fourth dimension.
Oh, shit.
Like now you're flying around in space at, this ability to literally warp space around you to get where you're going.
Damn, that's interesting.
Which does kind of make the weird thing where they're getting chased at warp speed. I've seen them shoot torpedoes at warp speed. I'm always like, wouldn't the torpedo be going slower than the?
Yeah,
like,
it should be.
Wouldn't it
right?
just not go anywhere?
Because then when we got to Into Darkness, the Vengeance caught up to the Enterprise, and the missiles.
I don't believe in
the
those
missiles,
Star Trek movies.
They were pretty good. They were fucked
cool,
up,
but I don't agree with them.
When you go into it, you just got to go into it in the mind state of it's not a shot for shot reboot. It's just
not
different.
Star Trek.
It's a different timeline.
It's not Star Trek.
It's Star Trek, dude.
No, it's not.
It is. It's Star Trek.
Nah.
It is.
Nah. Enterprise is more Star Trek than those movies. And
No.
those are infinite.
God
They're
damn.
better. I'm saying they're better. They are better. And they're better than anything original series ever did. But it is.
Well, original series
it's not
was
Star Trek. It's silly, man. It's
Nah,
silly.
it's just a different way of telling
It's
a story.
disrespectful
It's a different,
to terrible Star Trek.
It's different timelines. They did what I like about them is that when they had Spock in there, they did sew that up. They're like, no, you're not the same. You're different.
So you felt differently after that than I did. I was like, what a load of shit. You better put fucking Captain Pike in that weird ass wheelchair with the one blinking light on the front
I
of
hated
it
that
and
shit,
get to work.
dude.
You better get
my
Kirk.
God.
You better get Kirk out here fighting the Gorn at the Rock.
Yeah.
You go back. If
Yeah.
you're gonna go back. You go back. I mean,
But
that doesn't make any sense, and it wouldn't have made any money.
They
And they did a great
didn't.
job. But
They
in my
did,
mind, I was like, no.
The first two, the Star Trek and then Into Darkness, they were good. I didn't really like the last one. That kind of killed the series.
Into
but
Darkness was a dope movie.
It was.
But to me, I was like, I can enjoy this as long as I don't believe that it's Star Trek.
Yeah.
Because everything that happens is killing me to death.
Without him rewriting the story of Khan, just retelling it, that, to me, that was good. Because I still love the original better because it's much better.
Well, Wrath of Khan is a phenomenal movie.
It's a great movie from start to finish. So they're not rewriting that. They're just saying we're over here. This is what we did. Both great movies. I will definitely choose The Wrath of Khan over Into Darkness 100% of the time.
Well, you're just not doing it again.
I think Into Darkness is one of those things where you go to a restaurant and you want something and like, we're out of that. So, and you're like, well, I guess I'll have the salmon. Is salmon good? It's delicious. Is that what you came there for? No, but it'll do.
Yeah, no, it's definitely the.
I have heard of that bubble theory though, but NASA was like, they were worried that they can make the bubble, but they didn't know how to get out of it. So if you get into it, you might just be stuck in there. And I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know if anybody really wants to sign up for that.
Absolutely not. But I'm just saying that the idea in Star Trek is that they've mastered this technology, and they got the technology from the Vulcans anyway, because First Contact was the Vulcans,
right?
Blah blah, which it leads to many more confusing questions about the Borg.
Because we got radio signals from Earth. Have you heard about this?
No, I did hear
radio signals. We've picked up radio signals from deep space in an area that we haven't been looking at, and this is more than once. And then a couple months ago, we had an interstellar fucking piece of rock fly through our universe or our solar system.
They were very confused about how it was moving.
Yeah,
I do remember that.
Yeah.
Now I will say that Koala Wahula thing or whatever,
right,
was explained by a few astrophysicists that I heard from, where they were saying really it was because when we observe something like that, we don't necessarily understand its trajectory. Like for something that size coming from interstellar space, like it who knows what sort of what effect our solar system has on it based on where it may have been shot. Like, cause it could be just traveling between solar systems.
That's true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? As a piece of junk. Although that was also just them being like, well, here's why it's not aliens.
You're right.
Without any one of them I ever heard from being like, it's definitely not.
No.
Although they were like, that would also be weird though, right? Like,
No, it wouldn't be weird. No, because what I say before, no, I've said this before, and I think it was in season 1, Hollywood movies, this is my conspiracy theory that I'll die believing Hollywood movies are preparing us for aliens, and they've been doing this since the fucking 90s with Independence Day, Armageddon. You remember this in the 90s and the early 2000s. There was this boom of listen, it's either aliens coming or an astronaut is coming or something is coming
an asteroid.
because asteroid, not asteroid. But it was what? Independence Day, it was Armageddon, it was the other one where Morgan Freeman was the president, and it was like Armageddon. Deep Impact, yep. Yeah. So, and then Battle LA with fucking Harvey Dent in it. I can't remember his name now. He played Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight. Google him. This is real shit. So, yes, I believe all of this shit.
Except for, here's what I'm going to tell you, though.
Okay.
And I did just read this one, because I'm very familiar with these, because I get excited. Every time a story like this comes out, I get stoked, right?
Fuck yeah.
And I'm like, let's see if there's some new stuff. But again, just this article ends with, could be a neutron star, very strong magnetic field spinning rapidly, 2 neutron stars merging together. Basically, any number of all of these insane phenomena that happen all over the not even just the universe, but just our intergalactic background.
Okay.
That cause radio noise,
bullshit.
Signals. No. I'm serious, dude. Because these fast burst radio signals aren't new. Right, they catch them every now and then.
Okay,
and then it's always like, oh, it's a fucking neutron star or whatever, because they'll be like, oh, it's rhythmic, or it like sounds like it's spelling something out. But when you're talking about neutron stars, it's basically like a pre-black hole spinning around, and it's shooting particles out either end. We interpret as radio signals. Okay, and this story doesn't seem to denote in any way that these this time, which is like the 100 millionth time this has happened,
right?
That this is somehow different than any of the other ones that could easily be explained away.
Well, how all of a sudden we're hearing about this, but we don't hear about the other ones?
We do hear about the other ones. This happens all the time.
Radio signals in deep space?
Dude,
no
this
way.
happened recently. Hold on a second. We could remember this was like last year. They were like, oh, these radio signals could be coming from a Dyson sphere. Or like, remember they couldn't see a sun where they figured there should have been one. They were like, oh, that means there's like a super massive construction site thing built around it. And that story ended. That story also ended with like, oh, no, it looks just like all these other things that happened where we wrote a news story saying some shit happened.
We are all in the Truman Show, and we've been groomed to that. Aliens are watching us. These little situations like this fucking interstellar rock that flew through, radio transmissions, this is the real outside world trying to get in touch with us. I mean, I'm not making this up. We just listen, I have a list of shit.
I'm just saying the stories all seem to have a similar conclusion. I'm not disagreeing with you.
If you remember,
I'm just saying also think about how the news operates, and they're like,
I get what you're saying.
You're getting just as excited as when there's someone like when Fox News prints a story like Hillary Clinton said Trump could eat all the dicks. You know, it's just like when the news is like, well, we're bored. Oh, the aliens are communicating with us again. It's like, oh, it's a solar flare. It's a this.
This is all part of one big scheme. I'm telling you.
Because if those aliens really wanted to bother coming here, why did they just swing by weirdly like that, way as far as hell away?
I think it's because we're not that important to aliens. I think aliens have some really important shit to happen. It's cool. It's like us as adults, we have a lot of shit to do.
Right.
On a much smaller scale, we have shit to do. But if we see our child, we pay attention to our child. Like, hey, what's up, child? But if we see somebody else's child, you're just like,
right, I got shit going on.
I got shit going on.
Okay,
I think we're like children of the universe.
So then why are the aliens here preparing us with these movies?
You got to do it slowly. Dude, if they came up here and did all that shit at
why
once,
would they reveal
we would kill each other, dude.
We
would kill each other. It has to be passively.
I guess.
Humanity would lose our shit because we're not ready for it, but we're getting ready for it.
Yeah, but like if you make a good mafia movie, 100 mafia movies come out. You know what I mean?
But you only remember the best, though, right?
That's true.
Yeah. So,
but no, I'm willing to subscribe to the existence of aliens. I'm just not sure that Hollywood is prepping us correctly.
It's just like the news channels. They prep us for different shit. And you just brought that up. it's not really far. I mean, it's far-fetched, but it's not completely improbable that
I shall leave.
Maybe I'm.
we're getting.
Maybe I'm
getting,
an alien
we're getting,
shill.
Yeah, we're getting messages. It's like that movie Contact. At the end, where the kid wasn't. Yeah, it was like at the end, the kid was an alien.
Oh, Contact.
So
yeah
he
movie.
popped his knees back and ran off. Yeah.
No, not Contact.
No, that wasn't Contact. That was something else.
Contact. I enjoyed. I thought that was a cool idea because Carl Sagan wrote the novel.
Oh shit! No, it wasn't Contact. Then it was another one, but it was essentially the same.
Where
thing.
like aliens sent us like a method of being like, okay, if you can figure this out, we'll talk to you.
Charlie Sheen was the lead in that movie, and I can't remember the name of it, but he was like, he got some radio signals from space, and then he went to like, what was it? He went
The
to
Arrival.
The Arrival. Was it Arrival? No.
That's what this says.
What?
If you type in Charlie Sheen alien movie.
It was The Arrival?
The Arrival is the name.
Oh, okay.
This movie is from 1996.
Yeah, then it's the movie, yeah.
Yeah.
And The Arrival, but they have Arrival, which came out recently.
Right.
And that was another alien movie. And we talked about that on this podcast.
Have you considered your level of excitement though as a indication of the economic need to make more alien movies?
It might be.
Without
I'm here for it. Either way. I don't know. Give me more alien movies.
I agree too, and I definitely looked at a lot of movies of that time as being like, well, that's how that, because when you're talking about time travel, I'm like, well, it's such a impossibility, it's such a weird thing.
Yeah.
Fine, I like the Back to the Future one. If you ask me, I like Back to the Future time travel where everything just works out.
Yeah, but no, it's not going to work out unless people have been going back to the future, but the Mandela effect is actually people going back and changing shit that occasionally has butterfly effects. Like occasionally, if you fall down the steps by yourself, then okay, you just fell down the steps. You're a clumsy motherfucker.
Yeah.
If you fall down the steps and somebody tapes it and puts it on Twitter,
you
go viral.
Yep.
So maybe that's look. Listen, I'm tired of being I'm tired of calling all this shit when it happens. Okay? I mean, look, we come in here, we talk about shit, and we just figure shit out. We're going to get to the point where we're going to disappear, and then that's going to be it. There's not going to be nobody else.
Exactly.
Nobody else. And that's what it is, though.
This is important, what we're doing.
Very important.
The moral of the story is this is important. I did want to run back real quick, if you don't mind.
Mm-hmm.
We were discussing the differences between the Khan-related Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
Which is actually, we basically got on time travel because I was saying that one of the only ways you can travel forward in the future is to travel at light speed.
Right.
It brings up the inevitable question of how the hell does Star Trek work?
Mm-hmm.
Talked about warp. Then we talked about the quality of Star Trek movies. Here is a scene that you only really need the audio from the original Wrath of Khan that I think sums it all up.
Yeah.
I shall leave you as you left me, as you left her, marooned for all eternity in the center of a dead planet. Buried alive. Buried alive.
Yeah.
You need nothing else.
Yeah.
If you're telling the story of Khan, that's all you need.
Even the new movie tried to redo that, and it wasn't as good.
Of course not.
It wasn't as good.
Of course not.
And I'm not.
It's Ricardo Montalban and William Shatner.
Oh yeah,
overacting at a level that is unachievable.
Right.
You wouldn't be willing to put it on film today.
No.
And you wouldn't
Chris,
trust the outcome.
Chris Pine, he wasn't going to be.
Of course not.
And he was a great. If it wasn't Star Trek, my God.
Yeah.
And we've had this discussion with different movies before where they get handcuffed to these big names, and you're like, okay, well, I've seen the old one. I'm holding this new one up to this level.
Standard. Yeah,
and then when it doesn't meet it, you're like, ugh.
It's like if Prince and Michael Jackson put out an album together,
whatever
it was, would have been you wouldn't be able to listen to it because it would have been no way it would have lived up to your standard.
No.
Yeah.
Well, but
you're at right at 31 minutes.
Oh shit.
I don't know how much you wanted to do, or if we didn't cover anything.
No, we got enough for one more segment.
Okay, what you got there, sir?
I like to go over 30 minutes because fuck SoundCloud. When I was uploading to SoundCloud, anything like a second over 30 minutes, it would like They want you to pay to be able to upload more
no, my
shit.
podcast
I'm like,
is not
no.
available on SoundCloud anymore.
Yeah, no,
Like
I had to get rid of
episodes.
SoundCloud. I'm like, I'm not putting my shit back on SoundCloud until we get signed to like a big fucking contract where we're having live shows, and then the company that we signed to be like, we'll put it on SoundCloud.
Yeah, if they agree to do that, that's great. But I'm not paying for it.
No,
ever.
I will not.
I don't give a fuck if I don't give a fuck if I make $1 million an episode because of the way SoundCloud treated me.
Yeah, like shit, right?
I was like, get the fuck out.
And for a while, SoundCloud was like free, and then it was like this artist. It goes into the bigger picture of censorship will be the death of art.
Exactly.
When you put a price tag on something that was free and artistic, and you can go in there and just get out of there, and you can distribute your art to people freely, and you put a price on that, then you're trying to censor art through monetization.
Exactly.
YouTube went through the same shit.
Well, we just talked about this on my podcast, the weird intersection of business and art, where a band like Toto records a song that turns out to be a colossal hit, but the actual artist was like, this is shit.
Yeah.
You know? And arguably maybe it is, but we all love it.
Yeah. But, it's just, I'm not going to be fucking with SoundCloud. And the reason why the podcast tend to go over 30 minutes now is because
direct spite against SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I never kept mine at 30 minutes because I felt like I needed to use SoundCloud.
Yeah.
I just feel like 30 minutes was always, pretty sufficient. Unless I had something.
Unless we have something, I can see. Most of the time we come up with something very interesting, especially if we go over 30 minutes.
Yeah, a lot of times at the end of that is
if we were just sitting here in silence, then of course, wrap it up. But shit, damn, man. Actually, I just, just the whole thing of time has been on my mind for a while, and then I'll bring this. This will be a series, and I will bring this shit up, and then we'll keep talking about it because it needs to be. Everybody's preoccupied with time, and one of the things that I also thought of was time is a natural phenomenon. It is not something that was invented. We found out about time, and we gave time the designation time. We gave it the name.
Well, we created it as a concept,
right?
And we also way we understand anything.
We also gave it importance, and that's why it controls us, so to speak, because of the importance that humans put on time. And I understand the need for such, but when a lot of people talk about they want to be free, they want to cut the cord, not be constrained to cable companies, or they didn't want the 2-year contracts for cell phones because they didn't want to be constricted to cell phone companies, and everybody wants to be free, and everybody wants to be, there's a lot of time to be free, but also to get to free time, you have to pay a huge price. Either 60 years of your life till you retire, or you strike it rich and you can quit your job and then just live off of it where you don't have to worry about time. But even then, time will still haunt you because you have to file taxes and you have all these.
We have a strange in the Western world. We have a strange relationship with time too, because we've essentially monetized it. Like you make this much money an hour, as if, as if time was like a commodity that you can sell.
Right, and that's what you do when you go to work, though.
That's exactly what you do when you go to work. You're essentially commodifying your time.
Yeah. But this is why people come up with ways that like save your shits until you get to work so you get paid for it. Or
well, and that's not, to me, that's a good
how long can you stay on the shitter at work before somebody comes and looks for you?
The answer to that question is
I thought it was 45 minutes. I think
it's all I think it depends on where you're at.
I
think it depends.
It does depend on where you're
it depends
at,
on your skill level too.
That's true.
Some of that is skill. But time in our lives is always put together that way. Every year you pay taxes, every 365 days. You only get so many of these years. But I mean, we've essentially constructed that based on how we perceive the solar system. You know, it's always that's the one thing on Star Trek where you're like, how the fuck? Because they're always like, you have 2 days to respond to this. I'm like, well, how big is your planet? Where's your sun? How many moons do you have? What do you mean by
2 days
days?
is different.
What's a day to you? A year? Like what does that mean? So time is incredibly arbitrary too, because our limited understanding of the interactions between time and gravity prove that this is an abstract construct that means nothing. Once
it
you
doesn't.
leave the surface of this planet, it has no value.
No, none at all.
It means nothing. And it's only in our ability to measure the machinations of the universe. But like, you know, when we're like, it takes so long for a planet to be formed. Well, in reality, it doesn't take actually any amount, because no one's observing. It's just
it's just happening.
On.
Yeah,
and it's happened so many times and unhappened and happened again in the history of the universe.
So in the grand scheme of things, when people say they want to be free, what is really freedom? Are you just here? Are you just existing in some sort of phase without anybody really knowing you or talking to you or wanting your attention or anything? Are you just there?
Well, because when you don't think about it that way, because you're a human being who has to get things done, you suck it all back down to the micro scale, and here you are with all these things to do and all this time, and you have to meet these times, you have to be at these places at these times, and don't do anything you want for this expanse of time. Yeah. When in reality, that's all you get.
Yeah, that's
This is like your life.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
this
and
is
it's going to run out. So
this is a conversation they don't have with you when you're in high school, where they're like, listen, you're about to basically go through the starting gates into time. Mm-hmm. Like where you are about to enter the part where you have finite amounts of time. Yeah. They don't ever discuss it that way with you.
No, they don't.
No. You know what I mean? We develop these weird ideas about time on our own because of the way society constructs it. But you know, it would be nice though if someone who was like making all this shit happen down here on the ground was like, man, you know what's important is time. Like, getting things done in a timely manner, so all these people who make me rich could go like enjoy a little bit of their time. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or like you work for the government. Like the government doesn't need it. It probably doesn't need about 90% of the time you give it.
That's true.
I would guess. But that you probably get most of what you do. That's an interesting thing I've heard about. There's this book called Bullshit Jobs that I haven't read, but a bunch of people have been talking about it. And, really? And it's like basically like, and we can all relate to it, where most people, we go to work and we have to be there for this amount of time, but because of like automation and computers and, you know, increasing intelligence, you don't really need all those hours of the day to do your job. No, you don't. So you find yourself making up shit to do. Yeah. Or doing the shit someone else was supposed to do. Yeah. It's at its core, it's pretty silly. Yeah. You know? It is. No, it really is. But you know, the powers that be made time important for some reason. Because they could make those same amounts of money and give you the same amount of money and just be like, well, here's an opportunity to have more time. Yeah. You know, work from your house. Yeah, telework, Ding, the computer will ding when it needs you to do something. Yeah. Otherwise, you know. You just do whatever you want to do. Just be readily available. Exactly. As long as business is being. And a lot of people do that too, though. Yeah. You know, I want to get to that point. Yeah. You know, when we get big, man, it's going to be crazy. You know, it's one of those things where we just going to go around and, hey, I thought about it where we can just have live shows at bars. And, you know, we talked about this before. Absolutely. But the Kroger bar thing is. It's very interesting. I don't think I would do a live episode of either of our podcasts in as public a setting as a Kroger. I think we need to start with like real shitty dive bars. Yeah. We'll work our way up to Kroger. Like, because Kroger is like, you know, you got to kind of sort of. Well, you'd have to clean it up. They have a 3-drink limit. Yeah. They have a 3-drink limit? Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thank God. Yeah. Because I was like, I'm never going to. No, that would be one of those. That would be one of those shows that we put in a pocket where we're just like, hey, we're at Kroger. We're going to try these new IPAs. Oh, yeah. You can maybe get one of the managers to sit down with us. Yeah. I'm going to, in the coming months, I'm going to recreate this setup essentially, but portable. And I'm going to put it in a box. Okay. Like one of those clip-clop boxes. Oh, yeah. And that'll just be portable podcasting. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it'd be easy to do because I have that little digital recorder. And, you know what I'm saying? I just needed a mixing board. Right. Just dump it into that digital recorder. Hell yeah. Because that's how we recorded that one podcast when my computer wasn't working. Oh, shit, yeah. I just took the output out of the computer and plugged it into that digital recorder. Yeah.
And yeah, we can do that. But yeah, dive bars definitely because they have food and shit.
Yeah, well, and that's just
Kroger's just like a place that has food that you have to buy to eat.
We'd have to figure out how to do the public address system so everybody could hear us, or we could just be over there doing a podcast and only we can hear us, and people come by like, "What's going on here?"
Like, what else?
Have a seat, and put those headphones on.
Yeah, we can even have a sign like, we're recording a podcast. If you want to be on it, just let us know, and then we can have random people. Yeah, which is interesting. There's a guy. He has an account called like Humans of New York, where he just went around New York and he just asked people to tell their stories. It's on Instagram. Really interesting. Yeah, he's expanded outside of New York now, but we can do something like that.
Absolutely. Well, it's a sort of. I mean, inadvertently, that's basically what I did with my podcast when I would I'd just have some idiot friend of mine on and they would have something insightful to say about something because they're a human being
Everybody
living on
has
Earth.
Something different,
And then if they had something stupid and funny to say, you also got to hear that.
Yeah, even better.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. We could do this.
What was I gonna say? It was something else.
Random people. I like random people. 443-747-1417 is the number to get in touch with Pod Caviar. And also shirtcaviar.com is, man, 2018 was good for Shirt Caviar. 2019 is going to be monumental. There's so many products available, especially for women. The women's boutique is back.
It's exploding.
The lingerie section is back. So everything is doing good. The 2019 collection is looking good right now. I'm about to get back in the design studio and put some things together. Of course, 2018 was banging. If you haven't checked out Shirt Caviar, go to shirtcaviar.com, and if you don't find something that you like, you can text your suggestions to 443-747-1417. Actually, you can call too and just leave a voicemail, or you can email shirtcaviar@gmail.com.
I think we're way behind on a shirt for me that has a picture of the guy from Sling Blade on it and says,
"You got any biscuits for sale in there?"
I think I want a T-shirt with just that picture of him, like where he's like looking up through the thing. Like, "You got any biscuits for sale in there?"
I could do that.
Yeah, I think I need one.
Do that.
I need one of those.
Well, yeah,
you could do that and then just put 1 Gram Army Podcast on it.
Yeah. I mean, shit, we can do that. Hell yeah.
And then you need a shirt with a screenshot of that tiny person. Those are all shirts, man.
They are shirts. Yeah. The thing is that it's just legal loopholes and shit that you got to go through because.
No, I agree. You definitely you can't sell those on your website because it's a picture of Billy Bob Thornton
I can
from
definitely,
a movie that made millions of dollars.
I could definitely make it.
You could find like a distorted picture of his face.
I could do that too. Yeah. I'll put the little black box over his eyes.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey,
yeah. You don't know where that came from.
Yeah, the Shirt Caviar is going to have a lot, and it's already a lot of designs that were made that didn't necessarily get sold.
I need one of these too.
You know you boys owe me a lot of money for that beer you drank tonight. God damn it.
I need one of those for sure with that guy, Bob's Country Bunker. Ooh, it could just be like a made up logo for Bob's Country Bunker, and it just says you boys owe me a lot of money for that beer you drank tonight. God damn
there's a lot of designs out there that you'll see from Shirt Caviar that you won't be able to buy. So whoever has them and they want to resell them, the price is going to be huge.
Massive.
But there's going to be a cult following. There's already a cult following, and there's already designs out there that not even sold on the website anymore. So there's more exclusive.
Excuse me.
And it's just going to get bigger and bigger, 2019. But yeah.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I think we talked about everything. We talked about time travel. We talked about Star Trek. And we talked about warp speed versus light speed. Yep. We talked about aliens coming and how Hollywood is grooming us for that shit to happen. We talked about radio transmissions from outside of Earth. We had a nice space-oriented episode that would make Neil deGrasse Tyson either shed a tear or want to fight us with his fist one-on-one. One or the other, but one of the things that I always say is facts don't matter. But we're right.
I agree with you there.
We're right a good amount of time. We're not just talking out of our ass.
When we're not right, we're on the right track.
Right.
These men are consummate snowball artists.
It was funny that clip. I was like debating ever putting that one on there, but I think it's probably the most poignant soundboard bite I have.
Oh yeah.
Fuck yeah.
All right. But it's Graham from One Graham Army. You can find his show wherever you get podcasts from. And, of course, Pod Caviar is the most widely available podcast in the world. I'm Tony. That is Graham. Thank you for listening. We're out.
He slimed me.
This is a man world. But it wouldn't be nothing without a woman on jail.
May mean going to jail, but I'm going if it means that. It may even mean physical death, but if it means that I will die standing up for the freedom of my people.
We talked about his relationship with Dr. King. I think that he respected Dr. King for being sincere. And he used to always say to me, you can't disregard the fact that this is a man who put his life on the line, whether I agree with all of his tactics or not, because James Brown was not into nonviolence. And he would say that. He said, but I believe in a man that believes in what he's saying.
Let us save our national honor, stop the bombing, and stop the war.
Those were the most difficult days for Martin because he was being pulled apart by two movements, the civil rights movement and the war in Vietnam.
When Dr. King spoke out against the Vietnam War, Mr. Brown thought he was wrong because Mr. Brown thought that he is a religious leader. He's not a politician. He's getting out of his bag, as we would say. He's getting out of what he stands for, and he can create a problem for himself because the powers that be are not going to stand for this.
I just want to do God's will. And he's allowed me to go up to the mountain. And I've looked over and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we as a people will get to the promised land.